Good morning and good afternoon and good evening to everyone here. Welcome to our undeniable session today, October 2nd. We have the one, the only Carol Cox from Speaking Your Brand with us today. We're so excited to have you here, Carol. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Kate, for having me. I should say the one and only Kate Wade, because you are like my spirit animal when I think of like a badass businesswoman.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. That's so sweet. Well, Carol and I met probably 5, 6 years ago, something like
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I met Carol, she was already very successful. I
Mhm.
will just say this. You were already very successful as a journalist, as a writer, as someone who is helping other people create their signature stories and then tell those signature stories, right? You're someone
Mhm.
who is able to just pull that information out of people. You're just amazing. Like, I just have goosebumps right now. I
Yeah.
remember you talking me through your methodology,
Mhm.
and like the boards you would go through, and then like the storyboards you would build. And
I
I know
have
you've
one.
probably matured and
I know. Look, I have one. This is actually a client I
you
was working
have one.
with just earlier this week. This is the process. We've done it hundreds of times. We still do it. It works so well. This is it.
Oh my gosh. Carol, like when you shared that with me, I was blown away. I'm like, I gotta know more. I need to have Carol in my back pocket. And so here today, I'm just excited that everyone in the Get Her Hired ecosystem gets to meet Carol too.
Mhm.
And I'll stop fangirling, maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
No, we can just fangirl with each other.
Okay, I'll just
And for
fangirl.
all of you in the chat, please feel free to join in for with us, yourself, each other, whatever.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And it's all anonymous. So if anyone posts a question or a love note, it's okay. No one will know. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's fans of Carol here. Yay! Carol
Oh, so
lovers.
nice. Oh.
Yay. Yay. Well, today we're talking with Carol because even though Carol frequently now works with entrepreneurs, the functional capability she has to pivot what she does
Mhm.
to help people who are in career is unbelievable. Like you need to know her methodology,
Mm.
and we're going to be talking about this today because I just posted this earlier this morning. I was helping someone. One of the products we create is a "So tell me about yourself" script, right? And how we want to be precise and concise and shut up, right? Like
Yep.
stop the ramble. And so there's a framework for that. But like so many people, they walk into an interview, they walk into a networking event and they don't know what to say. And you'd rather just go back and hide under the duvet, which I get too. I mean, I feel that sometimes. But Carol, we're going to
Yes.
demystify this a little bit today.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you about Carol. She's the founder and CEO of Speaking Your Brand, which is a coaching and training company that works with mission-driven organizations, executives, and entrepreneurs to elevate their communication, public speaking, and thought leadership. So if anyone on here needs communication help, public speaking help, and thought leadership, Carol's your girl. She's a sought after speaker on business storytelling, brand voice, and something I learned about you recently is your love for large language models, so AI,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I'm a fan of the AI. We use a lot of AI assisted tools over here, whether they're language models or other types of
Mhm.
assisted work. We got to talk about that some more. She's got a background in technology and women's leadership,
Mhm.
and she is the creator of Chat SYB, which I would believe is speaking your brand, right?
That is like ChatGPT set this Chat SYB because it's trained in all of our content and methodology.
Queen. And it's a customizable platform that coaches and consultants can use. That's so cool. Oh, we
One
need to move
day. One
to
day. It's in
one
prototype
day.
right now. It's coming.
Okay. And you've got your Speaking Your Brand podcast with
Yes.
over 400 episodes. You have a new one too, don't you?
Well, so the companion podcast is called Confident Speaker, and that is the one that is 100% AI generated. my AI voice clone. All the script is written based on my prior podcast content. It's amazing. It sounds just like me.
Yes, I can't. I mean, because you have over 400 episodes that you can use as a library of your intellectual property. And it's amazing how you've then been able to leverage these tools to just amplify your work further.
Exactly.
I think it's wonderful. So you are driven, you have a manifesto like we do at Get Her Hired, and really you're driven by a mission to empower more women to find and use their voice, tell the stories that need to be told,
Mhm.
and activate ideas for change. I
Yes.
think we had someone else on this call signed up who is really big into helping people find their voice, tell
Mm.
stories that need to be told, and
Mm.
activate ideas for change. But I'm not going to mention their name because this is anonymous. But
Thomas.
I'm excited. I'm
You know,
excited
you
she's
know
here
who
too.
you are, right?
Enough said. So Carol, introduce us to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about you for a moment in your words.
Well, I think like so many of us, definitely did not have a linear path to what I do now. I like to say that I was always looking for the women in the stories because I wanted to know what they thought. I wanted to hear their voices, which is very much led to starting Speaking Your Brand 10 years ago. So I studied history, went to get a PhD in history, thought I was going to be a professor, in the ivory tower, doing my research, teaching classes. That would have been my happy place. Didn't it kind of I took a left-hand turn into technology and software development back in the about 20 years ago in the early part of my career, built systems for large companies, did that for about 10 years, kind of got burnt out on the coding and decided like where can I use my expertise next? And because I have been going to so many technology conferences and I was often the only woman on the stage or on the panel if there were any women at all. So I thought I need to make sure there are more women with a public voice and a public presence, whatever the industry is or whatever the topic is. So I started Speaking Your Brand to do that.
You know, I we're like, this is so cool. Wow. So interesting. So I started a PhD program that I dropped
I
out of.
think there's a lot of us.
I thought I'd be in the ivory tower too. And then I was like, wait a minute. Why am I repeating history here? Why don't I create history instead?
Oh,
Um,
mic drop on that. Yes.
so that's kind of we're aligned like that, you know?
I told you you were
Um,
my spirit animal.
Oh, Carol, let's thank you so much for sharing that. And I just love what everything you're standing for and doing with people. It's so helpful. And yeah. So I want to put up some questions for
Mhm.
yourself or
Yeah.
for everyone here, actually. We've got a few questions that are out there right now. We want to know,
Hmm.
do you think your story is currently opening doors for you or holding you back? So we just want
Mm.
to kind of gut check your story. All right, we're getting responses coming in. Um, oh, this is interesting, Carol. Oh,
Hmm.
interesting. Okay, so we have a few people, about three each, in that they think that their story's pretty good. About three people who are saying their story's holding them back. And the rest of the people are saying they are not sure.
Oh,
They are
yeah.
not sure. That's very interesting. So they're not sure if their story's holding them back. Someone just wrote in and said, my story is not the whole story.
Mm.
Wait, that is true. There's lots of pieces of our stories too.
Mhm.
And we can only convey so much in any given moment. Let's ask another question. I want to know now, what do you think is the hardest part about talking about yourself? So what is most difficult about talking about yourself? And we've got things like worrying if I sound like I'm bragging. A lot of women say that to us. And so I got to check them. I'm like, wait a minute, is it a fact? Okay. Is your motivation to manipulate someone? No. Well, then it's not bragging. So people are writing in, they don't know which details matter the most. Okay, so the hardest part for most people on this call is they're not sure which details matter most. Okay, making a note of that.
Mhm.
That is interesting because
Yeah.
contextually, you know, it's really easy to lose an audience, Carol, when we're talking about things that people don't care about. Like when that happens, let's just pause there for a
Yeah.
moment. Like, what's your guidance on knowing what details matter the most in any situation?
Well, and this is I was thinking about this webinar, and I know all of you have heard of this idea of having your like elevator pitch available. So like, proverbially you're in the elevator with someone and you can give them your pitch in 20 to 30 seconds. And I don't think that that's very helpful because you don't know anything about the person who's on the receiving end of what you're about to say. So you really do need to understand a little bit about them. Are they at a company that you want to work for? Could they introduce you to someone for an opportunity? So you have to know them and what they care about in order to introduce
Mhm.
yourself. So, because my goal in doing an introduction is to like have some keywords in there that maybe sparks interest and curiosity in the other person. Because I don't want them to be like, oh, that's nice. Next, I want them like, oh, you say you help people with their TEDx talks. Like I've always wanted to do a TEDx talk, so I'll drop like TEDx into my intro if I feel like it's important to that person.
P.S. Carol's really great at helping people with TEDx talks.
See, I just did that on purpose.
What? No way.
See, it's so easy.
That's right. So contextually, we want those conversational green flags, right? That we leave space for a follow-up question. And there's interesting
Mhm.
things in the chat there. I don't know, Carol, if you can see this,
Yes.
but we've got there's someone wrote in and said some days they feel like their story goes pretty well, and other days it feels like no one cares what I have to say. what what might you
Yeah.
say, or what
Yeah.
advice would you have for someone like that?
Okay, well, the world and the internet is a really big place. And yes, there are some people who don't really care. And that goes for all of us and celebrities all the way down. Like think about celebrities or people you follow. Does everyone like them? No, but you do because they resonate with you. I like to say that you are the messenger that your audience is waiting for. And your
Hmm.
audience is not 8 billion people. It is whoever needs to hear your particular story, your journey, and the lessons you've drawn from it. That is who your audience is. And so, just the more you put yourself out there online, in person, you're going to find those people who are all of a sudden are be like, oh my gosh, I was waiting for someone to say out loud what I've been thinking in my head.
You're the messenger your audience is waiting for.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, that's a quotable quote. I mean, that goes in the back pocket, everybody. Whenever you're feeling in doubt, remember that there is the audience that is waiting to hear, and you're gonna find the right people. You're gonna find the right
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Um, Someone also wrote in, yes, that they were in an interview yesterday and they felt like they were babbling. Oh, girlfriend, I feel you. I feel you. I mean, what, Carol, like
Yes.
we are not sure if this is holding us back, and then we're not sure what details matter the most. So I'm going to assume this person thinks that their story is holding them back. And
Mhm.
obviously they don't know which details matter. What advice would you give to a person like that who, how can we help this person who came out of this interview babbling?
The more you share your story or different versions of your story, again, depending on the context, the easier it will be for you to do it. And then you'll kind of know what the natural stopping point is so that you don't ramble. So
Mhm.
just, grab friends, grab people that you know, practice doing this. I love being a guest on webinars or podcast interviews, and you can do this no matter what you do in your career, whether you work for yourself or you work for someone else or you're looking for a job, find podcasts to be a guest on. And then you're going to practice the give and take between you and the host. And then you'll learn, okay, like I'm done, period, stop.
Yes, that's so good. Yeah, so practicing it and writing. We just had someone write in, someone has a divergent mind here,
Mm,
which we love. And it's so hard. They say it's so hard to keep from sharing too much. And this person advises writing things down. It's really helpful. And I
mhm,
think that's, Carol, part of
mhm,
what you were saying just there too.
mhm.
Um, Very cool. We had someone say, maybe I think what I'm interpreting here, and this person can write back in if I misinterpret it, but maybe they were in an interview. Sometimes, okay, let me just say this: there are people out there who know how to interview people, and there are people out there
Mm.
who should not be interviewing people.
Yes, and you can't control that as the one being interviewed.
You can't. And so there's a question that sometimes people get when they're in their jobs, or even if you're a consultant or not entrepreneur, like, well, what's the worst mistake you've ever made? How have you screwed this up massively in the past? And typically I say, Carol, when someone's asking that question, they're trying to discover how self-aware you are, and then your learning and resiliency kind of capacity. So it sounds like this person answered that question like, tell me about your biggest mistake or your biggest weakness, and it came back to bite them in the butt later. Um, any advice on that, Carol? Because it's so hard. We want to be honest, right? And within integrity, and yet we don't want to give away something that we think is terrible about ourselves. But I have ways to
Yes.
do that, but I want to hear what you think.
Okay, yes, this is such a big issue because we learned back in the day that the way to answer that question was, oh well, I tend to work a lot, right? So like that's my weakness. Like I work too much, and of course the employer is like, great, like I'm gonna have you on. So but we know that that doesn't work anymore. The people doing the interviews get it. Like they don't want that either. So I've also been a political analyst on TV news for the past 20 years. So I've gotten very good about the spin. So answering the question the way you want to answer it versus the way that it's asked.
Oh,
So,
yes,
right?
please.
Yes,
Please tell
right?
us. Let me get my pen
So
ready.
politicians, have done this for ages and it worked really well for them. However, it doesn't work anymore. Our
Ah, I have to cross
culture,
this out.
I know,
Okay.
our culture has changed. So people can sense that right away that you're not answering the question. So you really do have to address it. Here's how I say. So when you're giving a talk or an interview, you want to use self-deprecating humor. And this is where that kind of like, what is your biggest weakness or what was a big mistake you made? So you want to be a bit self-deprecating. That goes to the self-awareness that you mentioned, Kate. But the self-deprecation that you're using can't be harming your core credibility, your core
Mm,
expertise. So, for example, I could say, like, I kill every single plant that I have in my house, even before the cats eat it, because I can't keep anything alive. Like, okay, that's a dumb self deprecating humor, but whatever. But it has nothing to do with my core competency of what I do. If I was looking for a job as a gardener or something where I had to take care of plants, that would not be an answer that I would give. So if you think about, okay, what's your greatest weakness? Like for me, I would probably answer that. Okay, yeah, that's a good. Well, how would I say?
I have one right now,
No,
Carol.
fine. Yeah, okay.
Big slice of pumpkin cake on my countertop right before a podcast where I then can't speak because I have cream cheese coating my throat.
Right. Yes. There you go. So it's kind of like it's funny and you kind of laugh a little bit. I think that's where also we miss a lot is just finding a way to have laughter with the person on the other side. If
Mm,
the person, because laughter is a form of social bonding. So find a way to naturally incorporate humor, sometimes appropriate humor, self-deprecating humor appropriately. So if you think about like what is your biggest weakness or what's a big mistake that you made, it's so I like to number one, probably put something kind of in the distant past. I wouldn't say like, oh, 2 months ago, I made this huge mistake. Maybe like early in my career, I remember when I was working as the front desk manager at this luxury resort, I got a phone call from a guest and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't handle it the way that I should have. But what I learned from that was that it's more important to listen than it
mm,
is to solve the problem in that moment.
mhm,
So like
mhm.
whatever, and then I can go on. So two
Mhm.
things, like put it kind of in the distant past and don't let it be about your core expertise and derive the lesson that you learn from it.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
launch a poll question here, just because I think this really feeds into what you were just talking
Mm.
about, and maybe can help people as
Mm.
they're thinking about how do you want to speak in a way about your career, when you're meeting someone with those intros. And I lean into comedy. I stay out of drama, but I'm not afraid to get into action.
Your career story were a movie. I would say I would pick documentary for mine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Why is that, Carol? Tell me more.
Yeah, because of all, like I said, it wasn't linear, all these different twists and turns. And because I love history and politics and current events and basically give me anything and I'll read it and study it and learn about it. So I feel like I
Yeah.
would be. And I have lots of video footage. My husband's been collecting all of my video footage for the past 20 plus years. So I can make a documentary.
Wow.
I know.
I don't, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. I can train my AI clone on it. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, well, that's great. And of course, you were recently even on TV with the latest elections and everything. You're
Yeah.
just very visible. And so that is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I go with comedy because I like to start with my first job was selling hot dogs not far from Wrigley Field in Chicago, in a little hot dog stand.
Oh, that's so cute.
I still have that on my resume. I want to see if anyone reads that part of it.
Right? That would be good for an interviewer to ask about that. Like, what did you learn on that job?
What did you learn? Oh boy. Never mind. We're just gonna move on from there. But yeah, a lot of people, it seems like they're thinking their story is most like a documentary. So there's
Hmm.
lots of layers to talk through, which is great. I think we are not in an era any longer where we have these simple stories.
Right.
Like
Right.
my dad worked at the same place for 35 years, right? And so, yeah, he had different roles within that organization. However, it's pretty clear. And but now we have more complexity, and I think that that in general is something that while it gives us energy most of the time, it can also give us fear in how do we talk about it. And that fear, a person wrote in and just said, they feel like when they're telling their story authentically, it gives their audience the impression that they're overqualified for positions because probably they have a
Oh,
documentary story, right?
yes.
But when they dumb themselves down to like make themselves a little smaller, it doesn't make the person feel good about themselves. And now she's
Mm,
like in a place of completely doubting her confidence. What advice
yes.
would you give her, Carol?
Okay, so if you're talking to an interviewer for a job, then obviously you want to match your credentials to what the job is looking for. Because yes, we hear all the time companies are wary about hiring people who they seem are overqualified because they think the person's going to leave sooner rather than later, or maybe they have an expectation for a higher salary or quicker promotions or what have you. So that is real. So you kind of want to tailor what you're talking about in the. I mean, you still have it on your resume, I would imagine, Kate. You could tell them better than I could, but
Yeah.
tailor your responses to that. Now, if you're meeting someone at a networking event or, just out and about and potentially for an opportunity, I don't really like this idea of feeling like you have to dumb yourself down. I feel like, again, back into the contextual relationship with that person, what is meaningful to them? What is going to be interesting to them that you can relate about yourself? Now, if you have 5 degrees, if you're just meeting someone for the first time, do you have to share all of them? I don't know. You can be like, I was a PhD dropout, like me and Kate, we can share that, right? So I think it all comes back to like I want you to feel good sharing about yourself. That is number one because if you don't feel good, the exchange is going to feel icky for both parties.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it will. Yes. Yeah. It's one thing if you're kind of sociopath and you don't let in the contextual clues to the conversation and you just talk about yourself the entire time. That's something for you and your therapist. If you even believe in therapy. But I would imagine most people on this watching this video or on the call here today are self-aware and want to create a connection with the person they're talking to. I mean, that's
Mhm.
a lot of what you're doing is pulling the information out to create those green flags in your story. Um,
Yes.
I want to go over
Yeah.
to Carol. I know we've got
Mhm.
more questions coming in, and please
Yeah.
keep the questions coming, but I wanted to um, talk about brand with you because we
Yeah.
promised we would talk about
I know.
this.
I
So
hope everyone's enjoying our chit chat. Please let us know in the chat. Like, let us know how's it
exactly,
going.
how's it going here? And we'll take more questions. We'll take more questions. But let's talk about speaking your brand and brand. And I talk about persona, you talk about brand. And we had this
Yeah.
conversation as we were getting ready. Tell us, what is a person's brand? How do you look at it?
Mhm. I think a lot of times when people hear the term personal brand, they kind of ugh, like, oh, I don't want one of those, right? Like that's not for me, or that feels kind of superficial. And so I think that if you think about kind of how you present yourself, say, visually, aesthetically, what you look like online or your LinkedIn profile, so that's kind of like the superficial part of your personal brand. It's important, but that's not enough, right? We need the stuff that's underneath the surface. And I think that's where you like the word persona, Kate, is thinking about who are you? What drives you? What matters to you? What matters to you in the world? Why did you choose the career and the industry that you did? Why do you enjoy this work? Like, what is the bigger vision that you have for the work that you're doing that you see that you want to contribute? I think that is really what I find interesting about someone when I meet them.
That's really great. So who are you as a person? What drives you? What do you want people to know about you? And I think
Mhm.
that the word brand, like you said, can be difficult for some people. But really what it comes down to, as you said, is how are you showing up in any situation consistently?
Mhm.
Who
Yes.
are you? Who are you?
Yes. And it can feel the consistency part can feel hard if you have had a lot of changes in your career.
Hmm.
So, like, history, politics, technology, and now speaking your brand. So, I have a lot of these different threads. So, I've had to
Yes.
find a way to kind of find what is the commonality between all of them, which is looking for the women's stories and voices and making sure that they're there, like in leadership,
Yes.
positions. So that's my thread, no matter what I've done
Yes.
over my career.
Yes.
So, like, for those of you who are watching this, think about for yourself. I kind of like I had this hub and spoke model. So the hub in the middle is like you, right? Your brand, your persona, you. You have all these spokes out there. So this could be whatever your degrees are, what you've done in your different jobs, what your interests are, what you kind of naturally gravitate towards reading or conversations you like to be part of. So you have all those, and then find what connects them. And it may not seem
Mhm.
obvious at first, but it's there. There's a reason why you like these things.
Yes, I love that. And that is something we help at Get Her Hired.
Hmm.
People do with their career. We don't go into all the facets of someone's life, but I can listen to someone tell me about their career and we can pull the thread through.
Yes.
The thread for me is in being curious about other people's stories, understanding through comparison what I do and don't like for myself, but then also being able to carry that thread through to now be able to write about others in a way that allows them to really be seen and heard.
Oh, yeah, and
And
you are
that's what I've
so
been
good at
doing.
that. You are so good at that, Kate. I know from
Oh,
having
thank
worked with
you.
you. Yes. I love that about, like, you, right? So it's so hard for us sometimes to see what is brilliant about us, like, where we shine, and to have someone like you who's able to do that and reflect that back to the clients you work
Yes.
with is priceless.
It's so fun. It's so fun. And I love it. I love it. You get to do the
Yeah.
same type of work, Carol, because
Yeah.
yeah, so many people are afraid to highlight their brilliance because again, they think it's bragging. What do you think about
Yeah.
that in storytelling? Is it bragging?
Okay, it has to be done the right way, and we've kind of talked about this. I think this is where the self-deprecation comes
Okay.
in. So I remember I was doing an event last in August. So I was the speaker for this women's leadership program. So the host like read my full bio. Like on my website, I have my short bio, then I have my long bio, which is this long. She read the entire thing. So I was like, oh my God, I didn't need all that. But of course it sounds amazing, right? Like all these things I've done and these accomplishments and these awards and because it's the long bio. And of course, on the website, it's supposed to sound great. So I get up there and I was just like, wow, that sounds really impressive. I'm going to share a story with you in just a moment here. That's going to kind of like knock that down here just a little bit. And then I kind of went into this professional story when I got bullied and what happened and all of this
Yeah.
because I wanted to let people know, like, yes, those things are me, but they're not all of me and I'm not perfect and none of us are perfect. But you have to be
Yes.
willing to share that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Carol. We had someone write in a question, and this I feel this one, and I love that we've created an environment in 30 minutes, Carol, where
Mm,
people are feeling comfortable being vulnerable with us. And I think that's the beauty of this anonymous platform too, is we just had someone write in and say that they left a job after 20 years and they're
mm,
trying to figure out what to do next and sharing about themselves currently feels embarrassing. They feel like they're a cliche, like they're in a midlife crisis. My identity was my previous job, but that's
mm,
not who I want to be anymore. I feel like we could be talking about so many people right now. And this person's having a hard time coming up with a new story.
oh, yeah.
Um, and it feels just daunting. They don't
Mhm.
know what their new story is, and they feel ashamed and embarrassed about this. And their life used to be their job, and they're just trying to
Mm,
figure out what's next. What advice do you have
yeah.
for this person?
Well, I guess, Kate, I would love to hear from you first, because I feel like you probably experience this a lot with the clients that you work with who are transitioning in their careers and maybe in that
Yeah,
midlife period, like I am as well. So I get about the
yeah,
midlife identity crisis. I think no matter if you've recently changed jobs or ended one job and haven't started the next, I think all of us in this time period, midlife, are kind of feel this.
yeah, yeah. What I
Yeah.
find when that happens is typically the people I'm talking to have aligned on what their real principles in life are. So, are their principles integrity, authenticity, humility, service, things like that? And they find that the life they've been leading doesn't align with who they
Mm,
want to be any longer.
yes.
And once we're aware of those things, we can't unknow it. And then a lot of the times that creates a break somehow in some way. And I can speak from this from experience because that really happened for me too. I wasn't living in integrity with my values at a certain point,
Hmm.
and made many big changes in my life because of that. At the time, it was difficult to talk about because I did feel shame and guilt in the moment. And I think comedy is pain or trauma plus time. I would say a good
Yes.
story is trauma plus time. And right now, you may not be ready to talk about it in a way that feels comfortable, but you'll get there. And we always encourage people to share from the scar, not the open wound. So if you've got an open wound right now, don't worry about your story. Who cares what anyone thinks about you? Take care of you, and
Mm.
when you're ready, your story is going to be aligned with who you are and where you're going and what you want, and you will not be ashamed of it.
Oh, okay. I love that. So true. Thank you for sharing that. And it reminds me of that story that I mentioned where I was in politics and I ended up getting bullied because they didn't like a woman having as much of a public voice as they thought that they were going to like. And yeah, it was a whole thing. But I was so let down by that. Like that whole experience, it really crushed my confidence and my belief in myself that I lost my voice for years after that. Like I went back to my technology company, kind of just did my thing, and everyone would have thought I was fine. But I really lost the sense that I could do something big in the world. And it took years for me to get that back. I didn't tell that story for almost 15 years after it happened.
Mm,
Now, I
mhm.
probably was ready earlier. It just didn't have the right time and place, to tell it. But yes, I agree. Time is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, that take care of you. I
Hmm.
mean, corporations right now are just And the government, right? Laying people off, federal government, if you're in the US, and corporations right now are, and small and mid-sized businesses, even more so, are so, I don't know, it's just tumultuous right now. And
Mhm.
while we would like to believe that we're in an organization that respects and loves us and wants us there, they are going to make financial bottom line decisions and we may be gone. I know someone just posted today how they were 22 years at a place and got laid off yesterday. Um, and they thought they were going to retire there. And so these things happen and there is no shame in it. It's called capitalism. And, that's a fact, and I can guarantee that, like, most of the time, it's not about who you are. It was a
Yes.
financial decision made by some financial controller up the chain in another part of the business, unless you're the financial controller yourself, and then you know you were gonna be cut anyway.
Right. That's right. Yes. No, I think that's so true. It's like a spreadsheet. You're not even
Yeah,
really a name to them. You're just a data point that they have to then figure out what to do with.
yeah,
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah. It's
True.
unfortunate, but yes.
Ah,
True.
okay.
So can I'm gonna pull out something from the chat that I think is really important is
Okay,
that
let's
thinking
hear it.
about reframe, and I love what this person said, reframing, here's my dream, here's what drives me versus, so it's not about what I've done, but what I can do, like what I want to do in the future. If you think about interviewing for a job, that company cares about you aligning with their mission, like their vision for what they see for themselves, their company, and what they're doing within their company.
Mhm,
I like that.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there are so many good questions here.
Mhm.
Oh,
I love this.
everybody.
We should add a miserable failure section to our resumes. I'm gonna put that on my website because I don't have a resume necessarily, but I'm gonna add that to my about page on my website.
Oh my God, there was the time I almost ran over my boss's foot. That could be in my miserable failures.
I love the caveat of almost. That's good. Almost.
I hit the brakes in time.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Really good. So tell us, what are you seeing? You're talking to hundreds of women, thousands
Mhm,
of women over your career.
mhm,
And what trends do you see coming up right now? What should people be thinking about when they're trying to build their brand and build their story? What's your advice or approach there? So lots
mhm.
of lots of advice for people, women. We've got
Yeah.
men and thems on here too. So for
Yes.
everybody.
And this may, you may, I don't know, I'm curious to see what you think about this, Kate. And this may be counterintuitive for people, is that I feel like we hide so much behind our expertise and our credentials. I call it the expert trap. And I've been talking about this for 5 years. Is that as high achievers, most of us were highly educated, we're PhD dropouts, or maybe some of you have your PhDs or MDs or whatever, what have you. But and that serves us really well. And like always say, the companies you work with, the clients who hire you, they want your expertise because you need to do that for them. Like you need to, provide those services for them. However, when we're thinking about positioning ourselves in the marketplace, everyone has the same expertise and credentials. I mean, heck, AI,
Mhm.
ChatGPT is better than I am of a lot of the stuff that I used to take pride in that I was really good at. And now, of course, within seconds, it can do a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like we need to shift to think about the shift from information, like we're kind of information consumers and information regurgitators, to thinking about transformation.
Ooh,
What is the
tell me more.
transformation we want to undergo, as individuals in our
Mhm.
careers, with the ideas that we have, with the messages and what we want to share? But what is the transformation that we want to see, either for the organization we work with or that we run, and for those clients and customers that organization serves? What do they need? I
Mhm.
think we need to get back to like those core values: belonging, identity, community, safety, empathy, love. That's what drives humanity. And if, as an organization, as a business, you can meet those needs, then you're going to be more successful. And that comes with when you're thinking about your interviews or applying for jobs, if that's where you're at, really take some time to think about the company that you're maybe going to be interviewing with. What is that core value, that core need that they're really serving with their clients and customers? And how can you relate what you do, what you've done in your career and what you do to that?
Right. Yes. That is so smart. Um, so many things to unpack there.
Mhm.
First, and if you've got any questions or you're thinking about this, you can put in the Q&A that function that we have in the webinar or into the chat any questions or thoughts that are coming up here. But what I heard you say there is this expert trap. And I agree. Right now, if you use AI, a language model to build your resume, and you build it to the job description, we are in a freaking echo chamber of expertise.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone looks the same, you know? We used to say you look like a loaf of Wonder Bread, white bread. They all look the same. And so because everyone's got the same credentials now in a lot of the way, this I say this frequently, Carol. It's like if anyone else could claim the same credentials and expertise, you have not told your story,
Oh,
right?
you just
Right?
said in one short sentence what it took me paragraphs to say. Yes. That's what you're so good at.
But it's true. If I could change the name at the top and another
Yes.
pharmaceutical sales leader could use that same exact resume, we have not told your story. Um, and so that moving from information to transformation, and that kind of mind shift
Mhm.
is I'm not just telling you what I know, I'm telling you what impacts I've made and why it matters
Yes. Yes, and then what I'm gonna do for you.
and what I'm going to do for you. Future focus too.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So good. And what I am hearing over and over from you today is we have to think in the mind of the beholder, the mind of the listener, the mind of the viewer. It's not actually about us. I mean, it
Yeah,
is. It's like an
right.
oxymoron, right? Like
Yes.
it is about us, but it's not about us, not if we're a good communicator.
Correct. I always say that your story, where whatever platform you're sharing it on, one person or many, your story is in service to your audience.
Hmm.
Your story is not there just because you have a story to share or because you want to process it in real time. Like that's for therapy, if you believe in
Hmm.
it, like you said before. Your story is in service of your audience. How can they see themselves in the experience you had? And what lessons did you draw from it that's going to help them?
Oh
And
my
or
gosh.
going to help the company that you're interviewing for.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm taking notes here. I hope everyone else is like writing as quickly as I am. There will be a replay from our YouTube channel. So,
Oh, great.
the story is in service of your audience and how can they see how your experience can help them? And this is where I often find that people get stuck in their story, their elevator pitch or their so tell me about yourself story when they're meeting someone because one, there are logical leaps sometimes that we require a listener to make, or we make assumptions that a logical leap is clear.
Mhm.
So, um, or we add too much information and then, no one listens. They're like, thank you, next. Yeah. Like you said
Right.
earlier.
Yes, like we missed the
Yeah.
point. I liken it to there's 2 types of trees. There's oak trees, right? Oak trees are beautiful, lots of branches upon branches upon branches. And if our stories end up looking like that, then the person on the other side doesn't know which branch to take. Think of a palm tree, right? I live in Florida. A palm tree, one trunk, some branches at the top. Our through line of our story is really central and really focused. And then we have a few interesting things like those curiosity markers at the top, but we have to stay really tight on that through line.
Girl, I love that. Okay, I'm just drawing a palm tree here so I
Mhm.
remember. It's got 8 crazy leaves on it right now. I like it. It looks good.
Okay. And that will help you stay organized too. If you think about like kind of your core story is your through line, and then I'm just this literally is coming to me right now. Those like little branches of the palm tree at the top are those contextual changes that you'll make to emphasize, or you'll emphasize this section of the palm tree for that person or that audience versus this section because of what you know about them.
Right, right, right. I was just talking with someone this morning and we're developing materials for like user experience versus operations. So if they were going to be telling a story that's very operations focused, but they do have this user experience side too, right? And
Mhm.
so those could be those little palm fronds like, okay, you're going to go more heavily over here in this situation or lean in more heavily over here in this situation.
Right. And then you could
Yeah.
say, like, you know, from my user experience days or my background, I really learned the importance of listening and getting information from a variety of different stakeholders. And so when we think about operations, the same thing applies, but we often don't do that like because of XYZ.
Yes. Oh, and there it comes back to the through line.
Yes. Yes.
Nice job, Carol. I see how you did that.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let's see. Yeah.
We had a question just come in. Do you have any advice on good questions to reflect on
Mhm.
to help articulate those through lines in a career? And also, they love your color changing tree in the back.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, hopefully not too distracting. Okay, so this is yeah, so here's the questions to think about is, and we talked about these a little bit, is what drives you? Thinking about all these different career points you've had, what you studied in school, what you were interested in, what drew you to that in the first place? So again, what was that kind of that interior drive? So think about that and then think about what is it about your industry or the work that you do in your career where what we call best practices, but we know they're not really best practices for everyone. But you're like, those things could be changed or adjusted. I like to say what ticks you off, you know, like what ticks you off about what goes on in your career, your industry. What would you like to see changed for the better? So kind of think about that, and then think about a story. Think about one day, something that happened to you, where like a light bulb went off, where you're like, oh, this is the way the world works, or this is the change that I see needs to happen. You don't necessarily have to
Mhm.
tell that one day story like in an interview, but that's going to help you to kind of get in touch with what mattered to you, what happened on that day, how did you feel, and then what came from that. What was the lessons or the results that came from that experience that you have? Because again, back to this idea of the expert trap, we get so stuck in our heads that we forget that we have bodies that also sense things and feel things, and that can often be an indicator of what matters to us.
Mhm. Mhm. Carol, that was gold and diamonds. And I'm going to just say it, Dubai chocolate right there. What drives you or what
Yep.
drew you to what you wanted to study?
Mhm.
Why? Why are you doing this? What ticks you off about it? Because you know what? Our personality comes through there very clearly. It's so easy psychologically to say what we don't like about something. It's much more difficult to say what we do like about
Right. But
something.
but
It's
it's
a little,
important to shift in an interview. Like in an
yes.
interview, you don't want to say, well, what really ticks me off about this industry is this, right? But that's for you to understand. And then you do the positive spin like the politicians are good at.
Yes. But yes, so that's wonderful because especially for someone who doesn't know, like they haven't articulated it yet. I really love that. And then that light bulb moment, how did you feel? What came from having that light bulb moment?
Mhm.
Um, I think to me, these aren't, like you said, it's like not necessarily your story yet. These are
Mhm.
frameworks to help you think. And I think if you just took a piece of paper and on each
Mhm.
one just wrote one of those questions and had 3 pages and then go for a walk and sit on a park bench and think about those,
Mhm.
you might come up with a good story.
Yes, and talk it out loud. So,
Ah,
yes, write it, like journal, write it because that's gonna help you kind of focus your thoughts, but then talk it out loud to someone else, Kate and her team, or grab a friend or someone that you trust. That is gonna be a sounding board, not to critique it or to tell you to change certain things about it, but literally the process I have found of taking things from your head and saying them out loud, all of a sudden you'll get clarity that is different from doing just the writing.
yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Saying it out loud because sometimes it can feel really awkward. And sometimes it can feel really good. And you can find the moments where you might create a laugh
Yes, right.
or a tear, right? Or
Yes.
hey, and relation. I love that practicing. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. So any other, I mean, I think you've shared a really good way for us to find the gold in our brands, like those three questions you just shared there. Getting out of that expert trap, really telling your story in service to your audience, keeping that palm tree there, with those related leaves, not like I like your example of the oak tree because that has got a lot of branches. It's very
Right.
beautiful. Then it's
Yes.
got the acorn. It's got so much going on, and there's always squirrels. Okay, there's
Yes.
always squirrels
Yes. Yeah, messing everything up.
messing everything up.
No squirrels, right? I mean,
Palm trees get squirrels. I don't even
I
know.
have not
Right?
seen, you know what? I mean, I live here in Florida. We got squirrels in our backyard. I have not seen squirrels on the palm trees.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
palm trees don't really host squirrels. I like that.
No. Yeah.
Someone wanted to know where you get a horizontal legal pad.
Yeah.
Amazon, my friends. I am left-handed. And it is, I actually write from left to right. Is that left to right? No, it's from, see, I'm left-handed. I can't do it. I write from right to left on my
Oh, so you
paper.
start
And
on the right-hand side.
I start over
Oh,
here and I write this way in small columns because then I don't smear everything everywhere.
that makes sense. Look
You
at
know,
that. Yeah.
it was a light bulb moment at some point being a lefty. So
We can make a whole story about that.
can you share with us before we go,
Yeah.
just a story that really stuck out to you of
Mm.
someone you have worked with over time who didn't know how to tell their story and they worked with you and
Mhm.
just found, I don't even care if they found success, if they found personal freedom and joy from it.
Mhm. So I do have a client that I've worked with a few times over the years, and she has not one PhD, but two PhDs, not dropout.
Definitely in the
Like,
expert trap.
yes, yeah, for sure. And that's why she came to us because she realized that it was holding her back. And the business that she has, she works with an early education, so like early education centers and helping them with their curriculum and training of their staff. And
Hmm.
and when I remember when we worked together, she said, I'm doing these trainings and these workshops, but I want to be a keynote speaker, but I'm doing this, but I'm finding that I'm just giving them a bunch of information and then they leave and nothing changes. Right? Nothing changes in their schools and they don't take action
Yeah.
on it. Like
Yeah.
what is going on? And I said, okay, well, that is the problem because it's not like information is abundant. We can all find information everywhere, but we have to feel something in order to want to make a change. So she started
Hmm.
sharing her own personal story of what it was like for her when she was a teacher and then an administrator in an early education center and some of the failures that she had and the lessons she learned from them. So she basically she still had her credibility, but she became all of a sudden much more relatable. Instead of the woman with two PhDs who everyone thought knew everything, because that's the impression people have,
Yeah.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like, oh, you understand us. You've been in our shoes. You've made mistakes too. You get how hard this is. And instantly things changed for all the
Awesome.
trainings that she does. Now she's a very well-paid keynote speaker all over the country.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes. Because of that
Because
shift.
she started sharing her story rather than just her expertise.
Correct. Yes.
Carol, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That
she's
is
great.
cool. Oh,
Yeah.
Anne Marie's posting your
Oh.
archetype quiz. Tell us about that. And Anne Marie's going to put in the notes now to
Mhm.
everyone a few more ways to contact you. But tell us about the archetype quiz and tell us where we can find out more about working with you.
Yeah, so this is even if you think you're not a speaker or you have no intention of gracing a stage, the speaker archetype is really identifying your natural communication style. So it could be communication one-on-one or communication to an audience. So it's a fun 10-question quiz, multiple choice. So you take that, you get your results, and then it will tell you one of four archetypes, what you do really well, and then recommendations for what you can add to how you communicate naturally just to kind of oomph it up, right? To amplify it a little bit. So that is a fun free quiz to take. And then, like I said, you'll get the recommendations right away. And looks like they put in that I have one more resource. I'm going to put it in the chat here, but maybe Anne Marie can share it with everyone because we've been talking about this idea of like how to think about framing your story and all these different threads in your career and what matters to you. I have this 4 quadrant brand voice canvas that I created a few years ago where you kind of put in your mission, your expertise, your methodology, and your experiences. If you put that in, kind of put bullet points under each of those 4 quadrants, then you can start to see, like it kind of visualizes all these different things that matter to you and what you've done in your career. And that can help you to shape your story and then come work with Kate and her team to
Oh
to put that
my
together.
gosh. That is so cool. That is so
Yeah.
great of you to share. Thank you
Hmm.
so much, Carol. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be really helpful. I mean, not everyone on this call is an entrepreneur. However, we are entrepreneurs. When we are looking for a new job, that is an entrepreneurial experience because you have to be putting yourself out there. You have to be asking for the close, the sale, right? The job. You
Hmm.
have to be negotiating. You have to tell the story. And so all of this will be helpful no matter what your situation is.
Hmm.
I just so
Yeah.
appreciate that, Carol.
Oh, well, you're
Um,
welcome. Well, we've worked with a number of not only entrepreneurs, but executives over the years because they want to build their thought leadership platform because they want more visibility, whether it's within their company because they know it's going to make them more in demand or because they know things can change at any time. And that way they have this platform that they've built that is connected to what they do, but is separate from a particular company. And then they can leverage the network that they've built to get another either career position, board opportunity, or what have you.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really strong and that's very true. I mean, how many of you on this call have been at a conference and you could be up on that stage at that
Yes.
conference. Yes, you
Yes.
can.
Yes. Yes. And you should.
Absolutely. I love the
Yeah.
box behind you says use your voice. I don't know if
That's
everyone
right.
can see that, but yes, you should be up on that conference stage. Oh,
Yeah.
I have a miserable failure about that too. I would love to have a miserable failure section on my
Oh
resume.
my
It'd be
God.
hilarious.
No, I've had speaking fails. I talk about them on my podcast. It happens. It happens to all of us. You do enough, it will happen.
Yes, yes, then you know you're human. It
Yes.
keeps us in our place. Well, before we
Yes.
go, is there anything you can leave us with? One thought about owning our story. What would that be?
I'm going to go back to what I said about halfway through, which is that your audience is waiting for you. You are the messenger for them. And you will find them and they will find you the more that you are out there using your voice and in a way that is authentic to you, not dumbing yourself down, not pretending that things have been perfect or things, haven't necessarily always gone the way that you wanted to, but by being real in the appropriate context and understanding also what that particular audience needs.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I love this. I'm going to go back and get the transcript for this because what you just shared was amazing. Okay, it was amazing for me, so thank you. And I hope it was at least as 10% amazing for everybody else because I found it 1000%. So like
Oh, thank you.
so helpful, so awesome. Thank you, Carol,
Oh, well,
so
thank you.
much.
Okay,
And we
Kate,
wish you
you
great
are a joy.
success.
You are a joy. You are a fantastic host and interviewer and conversationalist. So this was so much fun. Thank you.
Well, thank you. From one PhD dropout to
Yes.
another. We will see
Yeah.
you soon. Take care, Carol, and thanks
All
everyone
right.
for watching.
Bye,
Bye bye.
everyone. Take care.